Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Healthy Living, Happy Life show. I am excited to have you on this journey with me. For those of you who have been in my circles, you know that I've done a podcast before that was called The Wonder Series, and you can still find those episodes wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. They're still available. There's some amazing content, tips, and strategies. So never fear. This is really just the next level, that next phase of the Wonder Series. And again, we're called Healthy Living, Happy Life Show, because truly that is what we are all in search of. We want to live healthy. We want to live vibrant. And essentially, we want to live a healthy, happy life that works on our terms for the long haul, right? So today, want to tell you a little bit about, kind of what we do here, what the plan is for Healthy Living, Happy Life show. And it really is to bring a new perspective and focus on offering you steps to complete have a complete health transformation when it comes to your physical health, your mindset, emotional well-being, relationships, and all of those things that bring you purpose and joy. So again, healthy living, happy life, and all of these are pieces to both of those. Today, I'd like to discuss something that is really important for those of us who are in their 50s. And it is the topic of what women in their 50s and older, and sometimes even younger, struggle with when it comes to their health, their weight. And this is the sad part. We experience a sense of dissatisfaction that leads to unhappiness. It leads to depression. It leads to us feeling like we've missed out on life and kind of, oh, I'm too old for this. And really just kind of leads to a life of disappointment. And of course, that's not what we want out of life. We're here to live healthy, happy, joyfully, and really enjoy the time that we are here. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But even more importantly, we're going to have a couple of tips on how you can fix that. I think that is more important than the topic. Yes, the topic is important, but how do we fix this? So many women that I talk to in this age group, and again, kind of 45, 47 into their late 50s, early 60s, we often feel like we've been left behind, ignored, undervalued, even though, in our lives, in our business, people rely on us. But, we start to feel like, we look at some of the younger generation and, we're not as thin, we're not as, our hair's not as beautiful, we don't dress the way we used to. All of those things that can really kind of affect your psyche. And those are all horrible feelings. And if you don't address them now, they can actually manifest in many, many different unhealthy ways. Number one, they can affect you physically. They can manifest physically in your body and become a chronic illness. It could lead to depression, that sense of overwhelming sense of despair. It can lead to being overweight and obesity and all of the challenges that come along with those. So these are the topics that are the reasons why we need to address this now, so we don't go down that crazy path of sadness, despair, health failing. And once we're down in that negative cycle, what ends up happening is, we're at the doctors, we're spending our extra time at the doctor's office getting medications, and medications never make you feel better. They always have side effects. And yes, medication is there when necessary. But if you can avoid being on medication, isn't that what we want to do right now? We don't want to have to be on medication. When it's necessary, that's one thing. But if it's something that we can avoid by changing our lifestyle, the way we think, the way we act, the way we eat and move, then that's what we're aiming for here. So don't worry, I know I talked about a lot of different things already, and I will definitely talk a little bit about the solutions, because we all know that we're struggling. If it's not you personally, a friend, a sister, a relative, who is struggling with one or many of these different things that I just mentioned. And I think weight gain is one that we struggle with, but I think more not more importantly, but one that we don't really talk about is how it affects our mental and emotional state. And those are things that we can absolutely address here. So, okay, let's dive right in. What do we want to talk about? Okay, at this stage in life, this second stage. So, when we were younger, that first stage in life was getting, when you're a kid, I guess there's a couple of different stages, but we consider this at age 50, this second stage in life. Our first stages, we were growing up, and, our body was ready for having children and all of those things that go with childbearing years. Those are totally different. But then this stage of life, we've got a lot of other things going on. We're wiser than we were back then, but in a lot of ways, we're not taking that wisdom necessarily and using it to our benefit. So obviously, maybe you had kids, maybe you didn't. I don't have kids, but, I'm 52, and, life is, I'm just like any other woman of this age. There's a lot going on. Perhaps, so I didn't raise kids, but you probably did, raising kids, working for a lot of years, maybe in a career that, you didn't really love, but it paid the bills, right? Maybe you were caring for aging parents, maintaining a home. That's a lot to handle, right? That's a lot for one person. And yes, even, your spouse or your husband or wife or partner, they've been around, but they're often one of the people that you're taking care of in that household, in that maintaining of a house. Many of us, when we've entered this phase of life, we start looking backwards. And kind of start to think about the things that we weren't able to achieve, the opportunities that we may have missed. And obviously, like, the physical changes that our bodies are going through doesn't make that any easier, especially when you look in the mirror and you're going, one, because you can't see, but two, you're kind of looking in the mirror and you're like, you almost don't recognize the person that you think you are, because sometimes inside you still think you're 25. But you look in the mirror and you look older than you did yesterday, and you're starting to see some gray hair. And all of those things can really kind of mess up with our psyche. But those are things that can lead to this despair and this sadness and this overwhelming feeling of, is this it? Add to that, of course, declining health. As we get older, your knees are going to get a little creaky. There are things that, we don't necessarily feel as good as we did when we were 20. And there could be a lot of different reasons for that. And I'm not going to be able to touch on all of them. But let's just start the conversation here. So all of these things, like I said, can really lead us down a path towards feeling hopeless and like things are, I've missed out, and, really to a point where we think, we don't deserve to live a life that we've always dreamed of. And absolutely, we're on this earth to live a life that we love and that we appreciate and enjoy. And I have to say, so none of this is okay. If you have these feelings and, they're overwhelming, or even if you just have them every now and then, I will tell you, it is not okay, because you deserve so much more than these feelings. You have so much to offer to the world, to your family, to your friends. So what I hear way too often, I just had a conversation with a friend just the other day. She's just like, what, Denise, I just feel too old. I'm too old. I can't do this. I've lost my chance. Like, she doesn't feel like she deserves to have the things that she wanted when she was younger. She doesn't think that she has the opportunity anymore to be the leader that she once was. And maybe it's because, she's tired, because, she doesn't have that, gusto that she once had. And there could be different reasons for that. So I mentioned earlier, I'm in my 50s, I'm 52. And I have to tell you, I love the life that I live. And not every day, this is not Pollyanna. Sometimes I don't feel good, things happen. But I have to tell you, though, it wasn't always this way. Like everyone, I had to address a health issue that was causing me to feel tired, unwell, honestly, pretty cranky. And I felt pretty crappy most of the time. And it was affecting my relationship with my husband. That's not okay. the way you're feeling is starting to affect your relationship with others, whether it's your children, your spouse, people at work, that's not okay. That's something that you need to kind of, reel in and go, okay, what's really going on here? Because there's something going on. And when I was in the midst of this, it was crazy because some days I was really emotional. Other days I felt like I didn't have any emotion. And then there were times when I would just spontaneously start crying over nothing. But I just didn't know how to control this. That was the other problem. I didn't know what was going on. And I certainly didn't want to feel this way for the rest of my life. And really what ended up happening was, obviously I wasn't feeling well and all of these things were happening. But my husband said to me, Denise, something's going on with you. We've got to figure out what it is. Again, I mentioned if it's affecting you to a point where it's affecting other people, where they're noticing it, it's time to check out, kind of step back and really evaluate what's going on here. It really is crucial to, really address them, the thoughts, the emotions, and you're the only person who can do that. Yes, somebody can tell you, it's this, it's that, or maybe you should try this, or maybe you should try that. But you're the one who is living this life. You're the one that needs to reel it in. And truly, this is your life, and you have a lot of living to do. So let me ask you this. How old is your mom or your grandmother? My mom is nearly 82. She travels on her own. She goes down, she's a snowbird. She spends the winters down in Florida. She travels a little bit less than she used to when she was younger, but she's still doing it. She's still out and she's still doing the things that she loves. Now, think this, if I am to live as long as my mom, and she's 82, I'm 52, I have 30 more years. And by the way, mom is still kicking. She's got a lot of living to still do too. But I'll have 30 years to make a difference, to travel, to learn something new, maybe to have new relationships with people, new friendships. And with that, love the life I live. Different phases in your life. I always think every 10 years you're in a different phase in life. And I know we say this second stage of life, but every 10 years, things are a little different. So now you're in your 50s, things are a little different. You can look at it from a different perspective. You can make changes. You can decide what your life is going to be like, because you know what? It's your life. So number one tip. So we'll have three tips. Number one, tip one. First thing I want you to do is to figure out if there's something physically wrong, something really going on that, that is not right. So a visit to your doctor is a very good place to start. Always recommend that. And I'm probably hitting it right on the head here if I say, or when I say, your hormones are probably out of whack. Woohoo! Speaking from experience here, I know what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. No, I'm kidding. But I do know that when your hormones are out of balance, you feel out of balance in every aspect of your life. And, people will talk about like work-life balance, like everything is like, it's this or that. And it's not. There's so many more things going on in life. It's work, it's kids, it's relationships, it's, community, it's church, it's, aging parents, all of these things that you're juggling. So you do want to get to a place where, things are a little bit more you can manage it a little bit with a little bit more ease and grace. So what I would say is, ladies, get your hormones checked. You can go to the doctor and they will do certain things. But I want you to listen to this piece first. Last year, I did an eye-opening interview with a woman named Lynn Hogreffi with the Happy Hormone Cottage. The Happy Hormone Cottage. It was truly an amazing interview because I had learned so much in 30 minutes. I realized that for years that I was given misinformation about perimenopause, premenopause, whatever you give it a name, menopause, aging, how I was supposed to be managing how I felt. And it was shocking because I didn't know so many of the things that she was telling me. And I thought, well, if I didn't know, that means a lot of other people. I mean, I live with a doctor. I do a lot of research. I want to find things out on my own. I'm the curator at Living Healthy List. All of these things should give me the knowledge that I did not have. And so I do recommend that you listen to this this episode. Again, it's Lynn Hugreffrey with the Happy Hormone Cottage. You'll find it on Living Healthy List YouTube channel. Truly, Lynn is an amazing advocate for hormone health. And she really is a wealth of knowledge. So definitely check it out. I'll also make sure that the link is in the show notes. Okay. Tip numero dos. Once you have that checkup, the next step is, you're going to love this one, guys. Check your diet. What are you eating? You'll hear all the time, like, you should eat a balanced diet. What does that even mean? Again, there's that word balance again, right? Or people will say, everything in moderation. What does that mean? My moderation could be different from your moderation. And if my moderation is too big, then my moderation is going to cause me to gain weight and not feel good and, maybe eat the wrong things. So a better way of talking about eating a balanced diet is this: eat real food. You'll hear me say that over and over and over and over and over and over again throughout our time together. So here's an example. Apple, real food. Doritos, not real food. I think that gives you a better visual. Obviously, that's, two ends of the spectrum, but truly what you're looking to be eating 80% of the time, fruits, veggies, whole grains, beans and legumes, nuts and seeds, lean meat, fatty fishes like salmon. I love my salmon. Why? Because those foods give your body the nutrition that it needs to work properly, and then to give you the energy you need to live your life, to do the things you want to do. So I always recommend make small changes. So making small changes in your diet meaning what you're eating, because that can lead to a significant transformation over time. So small changes, eat real food, focus 80% of the time on eating real food, and then 20% of the time is, enjoy the rest of life. Have the piece of pizza, have the donut. My two favorite foods, I'm going to admit, I admit this all the time. My two favorite foods, pizza, donuts. I'm a healthy living liaison. Do you think I omit pizza and donuts in my diet? Of course not. That's part of my diet. It's part of what I eat, but I also manage it because I'm focused 80% of the time on eating better quality foods. Okay. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, weight gain. Yep, we're all experiencing it. I know that. And it's really hard to go through this period, perimenopause, menopause, they kind of go together. Menopause being that 1 year mark since the last time you have that you menstruated. So, this perimenopause period goes, perimenopause period can go really for a lot of years. But menopause is actually the day, like 1 year after you stop your menses. So just know that. And most of you probably do, but it's one of those words that they throw around a lot and we're not really sure what it always means. So I will say, yes, hormonal changes can cause weight gain along with a reduced metabolism, which they're actually finding is a lot less than we want to give it credit for. But that doesn't mean that you didn't play a role in some of your weight gain either. We all want to blame hormones. We all want to blame metabolism. But it really is, it's our lifestyles that are often to blame. And we're eating out. We're not planning meals. We're not cooking at home. A lot of Grubhub deliveries. I see the little Grubhub guy, driving around in my area. All of those things add up. One, they add up financially. I mean, that stuff gets expensive, but it also adds up with when it comes to the amount of calories, the lack of nutrition, because when you're eating what foods that somebody else has prepared, you don't know what they're cooking it in. You don't know if they're, using, crappy oil or a ton of butter. And I love butter, but there gets a point where they cook in so much butter to make things taste good. But then they're adding like 1 million calories. And so, when you're cooking at home, you can pay more attention to that. So again, aside from your hormones, you do need to take steps to manage your weight, and Eat Real Food is really the first step. Now, yes, when it comes to weight loss, that's another topic. And I'll talk about that in another session, but really we're kind of looking at that first step. What's that first step? The first step is to look at what you're eating and to make those small changes. Okay, tip number 3. Uno, dos, tres. Exercise. Yep, exercise or movement, as I prefer to say. In my book, Healthy Living, Happy Life, a practical path to finding a healthy lifestyle that works for you. Notice the name there, guys. I actually talk about movement, and when you go to my website, there's actually a link to the video. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. And what are they doing there? They're not exercising, they're dancing, they're having a good old time. So truly what usually ends up happening is as we get older, exercise seems to be like the last thing on the to-do list, when realistically, it should be one of the first things that we do. And it doesn't have to be difficult. Walking, riding your bike, playing a sport. Yes, playing a sport. A lot of people that I know, a lot of ladies that I know, my sister included, they play in a volleyball league. They meet once or twice a week. It's fun. They're not running a marathon, or they're not running, around the track, but they're moving and they're having fun doing it. And that's actually kind of hits 2 birds with 1 stone. They're moving, they're getting some exercise, but they're also connecting to other people and having fun. And that's part of what we want to do to lead this healthy, happy life. And part of being happy is connecting with other people's. Another topic for another time also. So some of the other things to consider, yoga or Pilates, they are great for flexibility and balance. As we get older, you notice, especially with much older people, that's when we really start to notice it, is our balance is off, our flexibility is off. One of the reasons for sure is, we're walking around in shoes all the time, that kind of keep our foot in a certain way. And so our feet are actually, they don't work properly. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but think about it. How do you feel when you're walking barefoot as opposed to in a shoe? And actually right now I'm walking around in my house in shoes, where often I'll walk around barefoot because I actually have a stress fracture in my foot. And it actually helps to wear a shoe because my foot's not moving around. So in this, so talking about this now, it actually makes sense because I'm actually doing what I recommend not to do is, don't wear shoes all the time, walk around barefoot. And that's exactly what, when you're doing yoga and Pilates, you do that barefoot, and again, helps with balance and flexibility. And there are thousands, there's probably 100,000 classes online. And so I'm certain you can find one. However, if you do need some guidance, why don't you book an appointment with me, and we can talk through, what you like, what your abilities are, and what your goals are. And we can talk about that. So you'll find a link to my calendar in the show notes. So what about strength training? Ladies, I'm going to tell you this, pick up a weight. Weight training is essential for you to build lean muscle. Now, if you want to lose weight, we're talking about, our weight gain over here. Lifting weights is the best thing that you can do for building lean muscle, for burning fat, for keeping your bones strong. So we talk about flexibility and balance, but what about strength? If our bones are not strong, what happens? We can fall. There's brittle bones. You can get osteoporosis. You don't want to break. How many times do you hear that silly commercial, I've fallen and I can't get up? That's real. That happens to people. And so by starting your exercise now and getting your body into a nice, healthy, in a nice, healthy way, you can avoid that. Let's see what else. I guess I'm going to start kind of wrapping up here because I know I'm running through time here. As we get older, it is natural for our bodies to go through these changes. And yes, they cause discomfort, physical discomfort sometimes emotional challenges, turmoil, give it a name. But there really are ways that we can overcome these things so we can, get back on track, live a life that we love, live a life that is enjoyable, is vibrant, is energetic, really, and is fun. But it all starts with taking care of yourself. Make those small goals that you can work towards, prioritizing your physical and emotional health. And we talked about the 3 tips. 1, make sure you get your hormones checked. 2 is checking out your diet. What are you eating? And 3 is exercising. So by doing those things, you are prioritizing your health. And when you're doing those things, like you're working on your physical health, but you're also working on your emotional and mental health as well. So I assure you, this is so important, this piece here. Do not give up on your dreams, because it's never too late to achieve them. There's so many things that you can still do. You have kids or grandkids. You want to be the grandma who's running around with the kids, playing with the baby on the floor. That's what you can do when you start taking your health into your own hands and saying, you know what, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to live this healthy, happy life. So listen to your body, take those steps necessarily towards a healthier routine. Stay away from those quick fixes, those fad diets or those crazy exercises. None of those work. They may work short term. They're not sustainable. And we're looking here, I mentioned before, 30 years. You want something that you're going to be able to do today, next week, next year, 30 years from now. So finally, and I will, last piece of information here. If you are struggling, seek help and guidance whenever you feel lost or overwhelmed, whether it's a friend, a counselor, a coach. I'm here to offer that guidance and support to help you navigate through this phase. I'm there. I've got the experience. I'm here for you. So I just would say, stay positive, stay determined, and take back control of your life. You can live a healthy, happy, fulfilling life, regardless of your age. So thank you for listening. I'm really excited to be here with you. Until next time, I leave you with this: healthy living, happy life. Have a great day, everyone.